Thank you so much. And I'm smiling because, one of the thesis and the notes that I hear when I get the opportunity to hear Chantal speak is really resonates with me. Terms like agile, terms like pivoting, terms like social impact. These are also fundamental pillars in what I look for in companies, for investment, for success, for support, and what I've looked to create in my own arsenal of value. So my story is a little interesting. It's a little bit different. I actually started in healthcare. I started in psychology. I was a psychiatric nurse for a number of years, and I specialized in major mental illness and addictions health. And at a very young age, I found myself in unbelievable leadership positions. 25 leading a major mental health team, at 28 going to Virginia and setting up teams there, working with the government. And I thought, gosh, I have this skill, and I would have people coming to my place and I'd help them with their business ideas and I'd watch them be successful, but I didn't realize that I actually had a place to play in that ecosystem. I decided to go back to school and do my MBA. And I completed my MBA with this plan to go to a management consulting firm. I was going to go to Deloitte or McKinsey, and I was going to be their management consultant. But instead, I took the plunge and I started my first tech company. I thought, I'm smart. I've got some good ideas, and I set out to start a company of something that was very passionate for me, which was helping nonprofits. I had this hypothesis that with good infrastructure, nonprofits could run like a business. So myself and my partner at the time, an epidemiologist, we set out to help nonprofits be successful. We built an entire algorithm, we set up a whole tech, we got some investments, and we went to market and realized they had no money to pay us, which was a real slap, because we had spent all this time thinking that we validated the market, had focus groups, did everything that the YYC Combinator and every accelerator tells you to do. We did that. But when we pressed go, no one came. And that was scary. So we had this opportunity in front of us, or we had this decision. Do we fold and move on, or do we pivot? And at the time, we realized that mining, oil and gas sectors we're all focusing on investment strategies into jurisdictional allowance to grow or operate in developing countries. So we shifted our model and went to mining, oil and gas, and had them purchase our platform and our technology in order to see the monetization of their impact. And we did quite well. We ended up scaling to some of the largest mining, oil and gas companies. And while we were doing that, what we realized was the value of our data. And this is pre-GDPR, pre all the craziness with that data. And we started to build secondary verticals within our business around having a data strategy. Ultimately sold that company, ultimately sold our data. And I went on to thinking, I'm this new entrepreneur and I'm going to go build a whole bunch of other companies. So off I went and I built another 3 companies, which failed miserably. Okay, so I decided I was going to take the exact same strategy, get back into the world, and I started to build all these different companies, great ideas, and they didn't do well. And to Chantal's point, the failure was not because we couldn't get investment. It wasn't because of timing. It wasn't because of anything other than our approach was not the right approach. And I turned that around, and I started another company in the gaming industry, very similar strategy to the one in healthcare, and ended up selling that one. So I now had 2 successes under my belt, 3 failures, as I call them, or 3 learning opportunities, which gave me a ton of scar tissue. And then I fast forwarded and started working with entrepreneurs and helping them understand their growth catalyst. What could they be doing from a data perspective? And most recently been working with a ton of investors and helping them with their DD. So that's my background. When I think about companies that I look for as an investor or as a supporter, or while I'm doing DD, I look for those companies that A, understand their data, B, understand their positioning, but truly understand the term agile, truly understand what that means when it comes to being able to pivot and being able to react and being able to take customer feedback into value and learning and listening. I make this joke sometimes that, co-founders that become CEOs, and I've been one of them, sometimes the E becomes an ego, a chief ego officer. And that's not an insult. That's just the reality. When we've developed something from our core belly, there's this belief that we become really territorial. And when I look at companies, I look at founders that are open to understanding that there might be complementary approaches. And that's one thing that I really, really encourage you as all founders to think about. The other thesis that I have, and the two successes I had in my exits, it was the straddling between ROI and SROI. So Sheetal talks a lot about tech for good, and I fundamentally believe that. So when I look at companies, especially in the health space, the clean tech space, the gambling space, I always step back and say, well, ROI is the main focus, and it should be your focus. Investors need it to be the focus. You need it as a business to be the focus. Don't lose sight of that focus. But whereby possible, we should also be looking at how can we be translating that ROI to also have impact, to also create social ROI. And this is a little bit different than just ESGs and SDGs. This is really from a business framework. How do we do that? And I encourage you as well to think about that, because that allows for companies, specifically in spaces like healthcare and clean tech, to also straddle regulatory ambassadorship and partnerships if you can find nuggets to result back into what we consider SROI. And then I guess the last thing I'll say is, in my career now, I'm in a place. I've been very, very fortunate with my networks and with the people I've aligned myself and learning from, that we are now embarking on a clean tech fund that myself and Sheetal is part of, where we are looking to invest in those types of companies that can collaborate and be part of an ecosystem when it comes to things like ROI, SROI, and impact. That's really where we're at today. And I did get a chance to look at a number of the participants here, and there's some really, really exciting innovation. And I'm very interested to see how things continue and outplay for most of you. So that's my background, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I look forward to some questions.